All right, so today we're going to begin talking about painting, and this, even though we're doing the Kachina project specifically, this will kind of apply to all the things that you paint this year um, in this class. So the paint that we use is acrylic paint. It's going to say it's something like that on the bottle, like Blick acrylic or chrome acryl or something like that. So it is on the shelf in the back of the room, kind of up against the wall. There'll be a variety of paint there. Next to the paint, there's a box that says scrap paper for paint. And that's what you're going to use to create your palettes so that when you are portioning out the paint for yourself, you just put a little bit on the scrap paper and you can use that as your palette for the class period. We try to not be wasteful with the paint, just use about like a dime size amount. And because once it's out of the bottle, we can't really put it back in, and you can't save it from class to class because it would dry out. So we just try to use what we need for that period, and then we can always get more or get new colors the next time that you have class. I will say that acrylic is going to be permanent on clothing, so you want to be aware of using it, setting up yourself around other people. Another thing you always need when you paint is a cup of water. So there's cups by the sink. You need some paper towel. You should always have that nearby. And you should get some brushes also next to the sink. And you can pick like a wider brush and a thinner brush. Or if you're just doing small areas, you can just use a thin brush that day. But you want to make sure you have your water and your paper towel so you can clean your brush off. All right, so I'm going to wet my brush. So I'm just going to wet it in my water to start. And I'm going to use my first color, which is this kind of golden yellow color. And I'm going to start to paint my Sun Kachina. So as I said in the beginning of this lesson, we're going to kind of stay true to what the traditional colors are. And that might mean that you have to mix some colors. If you have a question about color mixing, you are welcome to ask, and I can help you kind of determine the colors that you'd need for that. But this one is going to be good straight out of the bottle, so I'm just going to do that. So I'm painting my cardboard, and as you can see, it is still, the cardboard is kind of still showing through, so I might need to do 2 layers of paint for this. So I would let it dry and then paint my next layer. Acrylic does dry pretty quickly, so I could probably get my second layer on by the end of the period. I'm also going to paint in here because this section is also yellow. But you need to turn your board around so you can see what you're doing more easily. You can do that. All right, and this is white. This is the white section of my of the drawing, so I probably just need 1 layer for that. Okay. Now, a lot of you will have a turquoise part of your Kachina that you'll need to figure out. This actually, it's not going to show through that clearly on this camera, but this is phthalo green, Phthalo. So I'm going to mix a little bit, and when you're mixing your colors, you want to pull your color off to the side. You don't want to put your colors together, in one space. I always kind of pull it apart. So this way I still keep my original color, but I can mix it off to the side. I'm going to clean my brush, dry it off, and then I'm going to add in some white. And if you mix the phthalo green and the white, you'll get a really nice turquoise. And that would be sufficient for a lot of the, I'm going to paint over the eye because I'll repaint that. So like I said in the beginning of this, you can't save colors from class period to class period. So just use enough to kind of cover what you need to cover for that class. If you mix a color that is something that you need that's like custom, then you kind of have to work quickly and make sure that you fill in that area that day, unless you can recreate that mixed color again. Right, so phthalo green and white, that's something that a lot of people will use for this, and it's going to give you your nice turquoise result. This is actually black. So I'm going to use that for the mouth. right? And I just use the edge of my brush. And I want to fill in the eyes again. Now I'm painting over my turquoise, which is wet, but because I'm using black paint, it doesn't, it'll just kind of sit on top of the turquoise, but you could always let your first layer dry and then paint over it if you're doing some design work or something like that. I'm going to go back in with my yellow because I can do my cardboard again. So I'd say every class period, maybe pick 3 or 4 colors that you know that you need for that period, kind of work in those areas, and then, get another set of colors the next time you come in. That'll probably be enough to take over, to use the time for that class, and then you're not having a whole bunch of paint wasted at the end. All right. So that is how we kind of conduct painting in this class.